To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. We will be sharing you the author's brief summary, full book summary, literary elements, and analysis of the story. Now, first, we have the author's brief summary. The author of the story, To Kill a Mockingbird, is the one and only Harper Lee. April 28, 1926 to February 19, 2016. An American novelist born in Monroeville, Alabama, U.S. She is best known for her novel To Kill a Mockingbird, 1960. It won the 1961 Pulitzer Prize and has become a classic of modern American literature. During her early years, she studied law at the University of Alabama. She was on the verge of becoming a lawyer, but she left one semester before completing the credit hours necessary for a degree. She worked as an airline reservationist, but soon got financial assistance from friends, allowing her to devote her time to writing full time. Later, at the age of 89, Harper Lee published her second book. Full book summary of the story To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Scout Finch lives in the tranquil Alabama town of Macomb with her brother, Jem, and their widowed father, Atticus. The Great Depression is wreaking havoc in Macomb, but Atticus is a prominent lawyer, and the Finch family is relatively well off in compared to the rest of society. Jem and Scout befriend Dill, a youngster who has moved into their neighborhood for the summer, and the three of them play out together. Dill eventually develops an interest in the place, a creepy house on their block. Mr. Nathan Rodley owns the house, and his brother Arthur, nicknamed Boo, has stayed there for years without leaving. Scout attends school for the first time in the fall and dislikes it. She and Jem discover gifts left for them in a tree knothole on the Radley property. The following summer, Dill returns and he, Scout, and Jem begin acting out the story of Boo Radley. Atticus puts a halt to their pranks, encouraging the kids to attempt to see things from someone else's point of view before passing judgment. The three sneak onto the Radley property on Dale's last night in Macomb for the summer, where Nathan Radley shoots at them. During the following getaway, Jem loses his pants. He finds them and strung over the fence when he returns for them. The following winter, Jem and Scout discover more presents under the tree, which they assume were left by the mysterious Boo. Nathan Redley eventually uses cement to fill the knothole. A fire breaks out in another neighbor's house shortly after, and while Scout is watching the fire, someone drapes a blanket over her shoulders. Jem informs Atticus about the patch pants and the presents, convinced that Boo did it. To the chagrin of Macomb's bigoted white town, Atticus undertakes to represent Tom Robinson, a black man accused of raping a white woman. Even when they celebrate Christmas in the family compound of Finch Landing, Jem and Scout are subjected to abuse from other children as a result of Atticus' decision. California, the Finch's black chef, leads them to the local black church where the youngsters are embraced by the friendly and close-knit congregation. Alexandra, Atticus' sisters, moves in with the Finches the following summer. Dill, who is intended to reside in another town with his new father, slips away and ends up in Macomb. When Tom Robinson's trial begins, a mob gathers to lynch him when he is taken to the local jail. The night before the trial, Atticus is confronted by the mob. He is shortly joined by Jem and Scout, who have snuck out of the home. Scout knows one of the men and shames him into dispersing the group with her polite inquiries concerning his son. The children sat in the colored balcony with the town's black resident during the trial. Mayela Ewell and her father, Bob, are the accusers, and Atticus presents clear evidence that they are lying. In fact, Mayela propositioned Tom Robinson was caught by her father and then accused Tom of rape to hide her shame and guilt. Mayella's markings on her face are from wounds inflicted by her father. When he discovered her with Tom, he called her a whore and beat her. According to Atticus, despite the overwhelming evidence pointing to Tom's innocence, the all-white jury finds him guilty. Tom, who was innocent at the time, subsequently tries to flee prison and is shot to death. Jem's confidence in justice is severely shaken and he falls into despair and doubt. Regardless of the outcome, Bob Ewell believes Atticus and the judge have made a fool of him and pledges vengeance. He threatens Tom Robinson's widow, breaks into the judge's home, and then confronts Jem and Scout as they walk home from Halloween party. However, Boo Radley intervenes, saying the children and fatality stabbing Ewell during the struggle. Boo escorts the injured Jem back to Atticus' house, where the sheriff insists that Ewell tripped over a tree root and fell on his own knife in attempt to protect Boo. Scout afterwards feels as if she has a better understanding of Boo's life. He has finally become a human being in her eyes. Scout adopts her father's counsel to cultivate sympathy and understanding as a result of this discovery, demonstrating that her encounters with bigotry and prejudice would not sully her confidence in human decency. Literary elements of the story To Kill a Mockingbird. First, we have symbolism. The mockingbird in the story symbolizes innocence as well as beauty. Second, we have foreshadowing. The author, Harper Lee, foreshadows critical events throughout the story, giving the readers insights as to how the plot, themes, and characters' developments will unfold. In terms of foreshadowing, we have social injustices. Early discussion Scout has with her father, Atticus, and her next door neighbor, Miss Maudie, foreshadow major events in To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus says, "Shoot all of Blue Jays you want if you can't hit him, but remember, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird." Miss Maudie confirms Atticus' statement and tells Scout, "Your father's right. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens. They don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird." The foreshadowing and symbolism of the Mockingjay foretell the town's unfair stereotyping and ridicule, Radley, and unjust treatment of Tom Robinson. Next, Scout's fight with her cousin. Young Scout faces persecution from her classmates because her dad, a reputable attorney in town, agrees to represent Tom Robinson, a black man. Atticus instructs Scout not to engage in fights with her peers over the issue. In Chapter 9, Lee uses foreshadow to foretell Scout's inability to control her anger and frustration. Scout says, "I felt extremely noble for having remembered not to fight and remained noble for 3 weeks. Then, Christmas came and disaster struck. Scout punches her cousin Francis for calling Atticus a derogatory, racist term, and Scout's uncle punishes her for it. Next, we have the trial verdict. Lee foreshadows Robinson's trial verdict. Tom is accused of raping a young white woman, Mariella Ewell. In truth, Mariella initiated advances toward Tom, but her father caught her and beat her for her actions. Tom is put on trial as a scapegoat to ensure Mariella's reputation remains intact. In chapter 21, Black minister Reverend Sykes says to Scout's brother, "Now don't you be so confident, Mr. Jem. I ain't ever seen any jury decide in favor of a colored man over a white man." Next, we have the racial tension in America. One of the most compelling examples of foreshadowing is revealed by Atticus. After Tom is found guilty by an Alabama jury and is sentenced to death, Atticus says this may be a shadow of the beginning. Lee uses this profound statement to foretell the upcoming social injustices blacks would face during the 1960s, especially for those in southern states. Lee's use of foreshadow makes it clear not all conflicts will be resolved in the story, according to Professor of Education Emerita at Converse College, Anita Price Davis. Last literary element is irony. Of course, in the novel when Scout and Jem try to bring mysterious Boo Radley out of his hiddling, and another irony is about Boo that he tries to exonerate himself but is killed in his own action. To Kill a Mockingbird's analysis. In this story of innocence destroyed by evil, the mockingbird comes to represent the idea of innocence. Thus, to kill a mockingbird is to destroy innocence. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy, but sing their hearts out of for us as well. That is why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. The overall message in To Kill a Mockingbird is that every human being deserves to be treated with dignity. In the beginning of the story, we learn that children, adults, old, and weary should be treated with dignity. Books give people huge impacts, especially when they deeply understood the message being conveyed by the author. In the story To Kill a Mockingbird, we can say that the author genuinely wrote the book not only for to read but also for the readers to gain important information which they can relate and life lessons which they can apply it in real life. The highlighted words in the first paragraph conveys ideas for the reader in which they get to treat others with respect and consideration. Judge them with their own characters and nothing else. Accept and emphasize one's difference perspectives about life and their desired choices. After all, it is a sin to kill a mockingbird, and every human being deserves to be treated with dignity.